My name is Carl Schulman, and I originally went to the Cotati drag strip between 1954 and 1956, and that was back when it was still an airport. And we went up and helped ourselves to opening the gate by taking it off the hinges, and 8 or 10 guys went in there, and it was just racing up and down that strip, and the word spread real fast. The next thing you know, we had a whole group, 15 guys or so, more than that, coming up there. And on one of these Saturday afternoons, we actually ended up with, there was a guy who landed his Piper Cub, and there was 3 or 4 cars on one side, and I had my Harley on the other side, and a couple more cars, and we had a guy flagging, and everybody raced down the quarter mile, cars, airplanes, bikes. And that didn't, I don't know, that lasted maybe 6 months, and they figured out that there's some liability involved, and they didn't want us in there. And some promoters, I guess, and I don't know exactly what date that was, some promoters got in there and started running, you know, the regular sanctioned drags and like that. And at that point in time, probably my most exciting day is when I took I had this 1941 Harley 1200 that I had bought off a guy who used to work at the old garage in Cotati. Johnny Boyd was the guy's name, and it was an old hand shift 1200 Harley, and I won in my class, and I got a trophy. That was probably my most exciting time up there. And then time went on, and I didn't go for a while, and then it got up into probably 1963 and 64, and by that time they'd had the sanctioned drags, and they had some motorcycle sanctioned races up there, and they had a competition road race for street motorcycles. So at that point in time, I had a 1958 Harley Davidson XLCH, so I thought I'd try my luck at road racing, and so I went up there and I entered in that. But that Harley was fast enough, but it was too heavy to stop, and so the brakes weren't nearly as good as they should be for what I was trying to do with that thing. So I just kind of bowed out of that and didn't finish.
Well, my name is Darrell Robertson, and I was a member of the Santa Rosa Street Angels when Cotati opened up in, I believe, 55. I was still in high school, and it was started from nothing, basically. And I had a 50 Oldsmobile that I ran there, and then a 62 409 Chevy that I ran there. And I think the thing that I remember most, the camaraderie among the people that were involved in it at the time. For outsiders, not just people from this area, but people came up from Los Angeles and raced. They came from quite a draw from around the state of California, at least. And it was an interesting time.
My name's Frank Ferrato. I raced at Cotati probably from 60 to 64. And I raced 2 cars. The first one was a 32 Ford 3-window coupe with a flathead in it. And the last one was a 27 T Roadster with a blown Chevy on nitro. And everybody used to call a strip the Marbles because it was so rough, but it was long and there was a lot of room there. But it wasn't the best of drag strips. And then they started, the guys took it over from that run Jim McLennan from Half Moon Bay and Champion Speed Shop, and they started getting some pretty good cars to come up. And Don Gartlett's used to come, and Art Malone, they'd all come here from Fremont. And then they ran it twice a month. And I think in about 64 or 5 it went away. They quit drag racing. And one of my favorite memories is when the Hot Rod magazine showed up and was taking pictures of the cars, and they took one of this car and it's featured in Hot Rod magazine. So you got a picture of it there? I got a picture of the car, yeah, but I didn't bring the magazine. I should have brought it. I forgot to
Hold that up and I'll get a shot of it.
My name's Ken Silvestri, and I used to race at Cotati drag strip in my early years, and had a lot of fun doing it. And memories I have at Cotati strip, that it was an old airport, it was turned into a drag strip, and it was one of the very few drag strips I can remember. They used to run 4 abreast. That means 4 cars at a time going down a drag strip. It was kind of unique, and the faster cars, they would run 2 at a time. And I drove a 1937 Chevy Coupe with a 327 Chevy V8 motor in it. And I think the first time I raced Cotati drag strip, I took a first place trophy. And the car ran about 118 miles an hour in a quarter mile. And I was really excited. Of course, I was only about 18 years old at the time, and that was a great thrill for me to win the very first time. And I still remember that. And I continued to race Cotati drag strip for a few more, 2 or 3 more years after that, and had great memories of it, fun days, and it was one of the most fun times of my life.
I'm John LeBaron, and I was a photographer for the Press Democrat at that period of time, and I was also active with sports cars, and I took my Austin Healey down there and drug it a couple of times, and I don't remember a lot about it. I think I was down there 2 or 3 times and took part in drag racing against other sports cars that were in the same class.
My name is Lenny Main, and I was a member of the Pacers of Petaluma. Still am. We're inactive right now. The drag strip was, when it opened, we were part of the opening with the Redwood Empire Timing Association, it was called. And I did some classification of vehicles there. By classifying, I mean marking the vehicles for the different stages that they were going to be in. One of the probably the highlight of the whole thing was that we had a drag strip in this area where we didn't have to travel so far. The closest we had before that was either Half Moon Bay or Vacaville. And I had a 54 Merc with an Olds in it that I did race there, and also later a 56 Chevy that I raced in the stock classes. Never did any good with them, but
we used to go out on the back road. I forget the name of the street right now, but Crawl had a place out there, and we went over his back fence, went into the back end of the racetrack, and you could mingle with the drivers. You could walk around the cars and all this and that by going in that backside, because there was no when they were racing out there, they had no fence like nowadays around the track. It was strictly the airport runways, and you could, if you weren't careful, you'd be out there on a darn runway when the cars were on the backside, and then they'd be coming around on you on the inside. So you had to be careful, but it was enjoyable, and I enjoyed going out.
Come on now. Oh, racers over there at the racetrack? There you go. There you go.
After developer Hugh Cotting bought the property in 1968, it didn't seem likely that racing could continue, and Cotting offered to sell it to Sonoma County for a South County airport. That didn't materialize, however, and racing was allowed to continue even after the Sears Point Raceway opened. In the fall of 1970, thinking that the Cotati Track's days were numbered, some of the racers held a farewell ceremony and shot a cannonball at the old tower. In its last years, the Classic Sports Racing Group used the track, but rumors of coming development projects finally came true, and in July 1972, the Cotati Track closed for the last time. There is no trace of it now, as the land is covered by parts of the Rancho Verde Mobile Home Park, the Target store, the Highway Patrol office, and a furniture store. But it's still alive and well in the memories of the people who raced there.